Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nate, and welcome back to another weather forecast discussion, this time for May 10th, 2022. We are in May, as I just said, and May seems to be one of the more active time periods for severe weather, and that does seem to be the case as we have a long stretch of active severe weather here across portions of the United States. As I am creating this video, the Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk for severe weather for portions of western Texas, as well as a slight risk for portions of Wisconsin and northern Michigan. And you can see on the top part of your screen the satellite imagery of the current event unfolding over there, especially for portions of Texas. I mean, look at that. You see all those reds and blacks that explode everywhere. That is our showers and thunderstorms on satellite that is starting to really fire off. And let's take a look at that here with the simulated radar here from the North American model. Once again, the timing is above me in Eastern. And as we play this on through, you can see how these just huge bands of showers and thunderstorms start to form over here towards portions of the northern Texas panhandle, all the way down towards portions of Del Rio. And while that is unfolding, you also have these showers and thunderstorms that begin to form off over here towards portions of northern Michigan, as well as central to eastern Wisconsin. So that's going to be something to watch out for. It looks like the storms down towards portions of Texas will continue to march eastward, but they will probably be weaker as it continues to move that way. So if your area is in like Wichita Falls or Frederick or Lawton, I'm not expecting you guys to get a lot of major activity, especially as you go past midnight. However, the storms in northern portions of Illinois, portions over there near Rockford and Chicago, probably need to watch out as well, especially over there near Davenport and Rockford, Illinois. I think you guys could potentially see some strong damaging winds within your area. So maybe just something to keep in mind as this continues to move into more of an overnight threat here if you're watching this tonight. Now let's push this off to tomorrow so that we can see our next severe weather risk, which we do have a 2 out of 5 in the severe weather scale for two different areas. One in the northern plains, which is over near Nebraska, as well as South Dakota, Iowa, and Minnesota. And then the other one that's over in towards portions of western Texas once again. Now, we can see here, there's a storm that begins to form here in central portions of Nebraska, and it races off to the north very quickly. There's also some other storms that are over near the Dakota borders, and that also races off to the north as well. But then you kind of see that the storms over here now start to expand a little bit more in a linear mode, and you can also see some additional showers and thunderstorms that extend from Kansas all the way down towards portions of the Mexico-Texas border. And that's going to be the case there. You have two separate areas for severe weather, both of which are probably going to be large hail events. I do think we can see both large hail and strong damaging winds as a potential threat along any of these showers and thunderstorms. But I think the event a little bit to the north over here towards portions of Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, as well as the Dakotas probably are going to have a higher tornado risk due to the fact of the stronger wind shear and the better environment. We can take a look across the board here. I mean, this tells you all you need to know in regards to what type of moisture we're dealing with. And we have some very high moisture content over here across the main slight risk area over here. But we do have some localized amounts of moisture over here along the dry line. And what a dry line basically is that's basically an area to where you can expect some showers and thunderstorms if the environment allows it to actually form. It has a higher likelihood than some of these other areas. And the main reason for that is because if you just have a bunch of moisture that gets congealed within the area, you know, let's say it's being funneled into a specific spot, the more and more moisture a specific area gets, the higher the chance for thunderstorms to more than likely form. And that's kind of the case when you have a dry line. It's just basically where all the moisture gets funneled into one specific spot. So we do have a dry line here indicated with the high dew points on the eastern side and the kind of drier dew points on the western side. So that's the reason why there's a severe weather risk over there for portions of New Mexico, Texas, even up into portions of Kansas and Oklahoma as well. But you can obviously see that there is a lot higher dew points localized over here towards portions of the Dakotas, as well as into Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota. You can even go as far down south as portions of Missouri, and there's even some pretty high dew points down there as well. So something of note there with this system. Very large amounts of CAPE start to build as you go from the morning to the afternoon hours. And what CAPE basically is, for people who don't know, is it's the energy in the atmosphere for showers and thunderstorms to form or sustain. The way that works is if you have warm air at the ground, warm air constantly wants to rise. Think of it as steam. And if you have cold air above it, that cold air wants to sink. And so Basically, the displacement between the two can indicate as to how much energy you have, and the greater the displacement, the higher the energy, the more energy there is for showers and thunderstorms to either form or sustain. And when you have a lot of it, you know, over 2,000 joules per kilogram, typically you get severe weather. And we have some that are well in excess of that. You can take a look at the bottom right-hand part of your screen, and it tells you above 6,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE within this environment. That is immense amounts of energy within some of these areas. And if a thunderstorm can take advantage of any of this environment, you're expecting, or I would at least expect, some strong showers and thunderstorms to produce some very large hail, maybe even the threat for some significant storms from a wind or tornado perspective. There is one thing that I want to note here as we take a look at the 500 millibar wind shear, which is our upper level wind shear, so pretty high in the atmosphere, about 6 kilometers above ground level. We have a huge high pressure that is sitting over some of these areas right now, creating some clockwise flow. That's where the general flow of the wind shear is currently at. But I want to note here, there is a developing low pressure system that's basically kind of a catalyst for the severe weather episode here while I'm recording this. This counterclockwise flow right here, this small counterclockwise flow of a low pressure system, is going to be the catalyst for the severe weather episode here tomorrow. So watch this low pressure system as it continues to gain more and more traction. Boom. Big dip in the jet stream right within here, and it's a sideways dip too. It's really weird. You don't exactly see stuff like that all too often, but now we're starting to get into that certain period to where we have a high pressure system that's just very stingy, does not want to move anywhere, and so it's just going to continue to create this flow. So if you're going to get these low pressure systems that are going to form, they're going to kind of move off to your northeast and create your severe weather for areas in the northern plains. So that's kind of what we got here with this system right now. Pretty strong wind shear here, especially for the afternoon hours, localized over portions of central Nebraska, even heading off into portions of the Dakotas and Minnesota as well. So definitely something to make a note of with that. And then, just a little bit of a teaser for what could potentially happen the next day, which we will talk about in a second. You can see a much larger dip in the jet stream over here that's rearing its ugly head over there into portions of Utah. Very strong low-level flow here at the 850 millibar level, which is about 1 kilometer above ground level. So this is our lower level jet. Very strong lower level flow, basically taking a lot of this Gulf of Mexico moisture and bringing it up to where the potential severe weather event can be. And you can also see we still got that stingy high pressure there, creating a lot of clockwise flow. So this high pressure system is also aiding to that low level flow and creating a lot of enhanced shear over into portions of, once again, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, and even Minnesota. So why is that all important? Well, glad you asked. Basically, with all that flow, with all that wind shear and how the jet stream works, all that wind, whatever, that stuff that I just talked about, well, depending upon how it presents itself can be a favorable environment for supercells or strong thunderstorms to potentially produce tornadoes. And we want to try and figure out if these storms could potentially produce tornadoes, but the only way to do so is by looking at energy, looking at moisture, and then this thing right here, which is called helicity. This is storm relative helicity, which basically tells you as to how strong your favorable wind shear is for these strong thunderstorms to produce tornadoes. And you typically want above 100, which would be in some of the blues and even portions of the grays, which would give you your strong severe weather. And here we go. We can take a look into the afternoon hours, which is when we can expect the severe weather to really start. And you see that we have a pretty widespread area over here into portions of Nebraska, as well as southeastern portions of South Dakota and northwestern portions of Iowa as well. We also have some very enhanced storm relative helicity further north than that, but if you remember, we don't really have a whole lot of energy off in that general area. We'll switch to the Cape real quickly, and we don't really have some very strong Cape. If anything, it'll be the southern areas of that very strong storm relative helicity along the warm front that could potentially be your tornado producers, but I'm watching for these areas over here in the very high energy levels that could potentially see some very strong severe weather. So definitely something to make a note of is that we have enough helicity for stuff to be tornadic on Wednesday. So once again, we'll play it out here just to show you all. Once again, northeastern Nebraska gets into the action, and then it becomes a lot more widespread as it continues to move further and further north. You also have some strong showers and thunderstorms that could be approaching the Amarillo-Lubbock area, so if you're over there, expect some large hail and strong damaging winds within your area. And then once again, it's just the coverage over here into portions of the northern plains and the upper Midwest. They could potentially see some severe weather even into the overnight hours within your general vicinity. But let's play this over. Let's move this off now into Thursday, and we'll see what happens here in towards the afternoon. Doesn't look like much. Ooh, big line that is starting to develop here. Might increase in activity here. Let's see what happens in the next frame. Oh yeah, this is becoming a lot more widespread now. Very widespread damaging wind risk that is anticipated here according to the North American model as this continues to progress eastward. So the good news here is that for the most part, it looks like this is a strong damaging wind risk, but I would not be surprised if within this line you could potentially see tornadoes that could quickly spin up as well. But the good news is that a lot of these storms are kind of congealed within a line, and it's now not allowing itself to produce those significant showers and thunderstorms to be by themselves and to produce those strong, long track tornadoes and stuff like that. So the good news here for right now is this seems to be a very strong damaging wind risk. But look at this, guys. I mean, look at these bowing segments. Very strong damaging winds that are anticipated even into the overnight hours. And by midnight, portions near the Twin Cities in Minnesota could potentially be impacted by some very strong damaging winds. So that's going to be something to watch out for and see how these models continue to progress this event as this moves off towards the north and east. I'm going to play this out for you guys real quickly with our wind gusts, and you can see how as this continues to begin to develop here in the latter stages of the afternoon, you start to see your very strong damaging winds that form along the line here, with an upwards of 50 to 60 mile per hour winds possible within that line there. You can see the maximum in the bottom right hand side is at 72. And so as this continues to progress, look at that, 65, 67, 61, 61. So this is going to be a widespread severe risk, as, you know, this threshold for severe weather, you know, for a severe thunderstorm warning is 60 mile per hour wind gusts or greater. Actually, specifically, it's 58 mile per hour winds, but they say 60 all the time here. And you guys can see that throughout all these frames that we have played here, we have had, for the most part, about that and even then some, to where this one had 78 mile per hour winds. That's hurricane force winds, ladies and gentlemen, in a specific spot. And that is very strong damaging winds anticipated within some of these areas. So we're going to have to watch out for how this continues to progress. But it looks like on Thursday, there's going to be a very strong damaging wind threat that's going to cover a lot of area. Take a look at our CAPE values once again. You can see we have relatively high amounts of CAPE within this area, and it is well above 2,000 joules per kilogram, so it's not really anything too surprising over there. Our dew points are relatively high once again, so that is not very surprising in the slightest for, you know, us getting severe weather. Let's take a look at the helicity values, and we do see that along the line there is some kind of meh values of helicity, but if there's a storm that can form out in front of that main line, oh boy, you can expect something tornadic within that environment. So that's going to be another thing to watch out for, especially as this continues to progress. But yes, we do have some good environmental factors that could tell us that we could be seeing some severe weather on Thursday as well. Now, last but not least, let's see what happens even after this. So there's our low pressure system there with the 500 millibar wind shear. We see that pushes off on through, and that's the catalyst for our severe weather event on Thursday. We also have a very strong atmosphere, and we also have a very strong atmospheric river that moves on through into portions of the Pacific Northwest, so they could be consistently getting a lot of rainfall. Our high pressure system now starts to move off a bit more towards the north and east. We have a new high pressure system over here near Baja California, and this is going to create a lot of warm weather for the southern portions of the United States as well. And then as this continues to progress further and further, we're kind of in a bit of a lull period until we get towards probably the end of next week, where another batch of severe weather could potentially be possible across portions of the Central Plains, maybe even into the Midwest. So definitely something to watch out for, but we are going to take this one event at a time and keep talking about Wednesday and Thursday until the events obviously happen. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family and on social media. Also follow me on social media. The link will be in the description down below. And yeah, that's going to be it. My name is Nate. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.